Welcome to our deep dive on a classic personal finance dilemma. Should you aggressively pay off student loans around 6% interest, or funnel money into investments? In the next several minutes, we will walk through a practical, tiered framework that most financial experts endorse. We will start with the essential safety net, then move into matched retirement contributions, and next determine when high-interest debt payoff should take priority. After that, we will build a hybrid strategy that balances minimums on low-rate loans with aggressive payoff of the highest-rate loans, while simultaneously taking advantage of tax-advantaged accounts. Finally, we will test your understanding with short quizzes and wrap up with key takeaways. Let's get started. Here is our roadmap. First, we will define and size an emergency fund. Next, we will discuss why capturing your employer match is often the easiest return you will ever earn. Then, we will identify the tipping point where high interest rates make debt payoff the smarter move. After that, we will construct a hybrid plan that blends targeted debt reduction with long-term investing. We will also review examples and allocations to help you visualize the plan in action. To solidify your learning, we will include quick quizzes. Finally, we will finish with common mistakes to avoid and key takeaways. Before we begin, a quick but important note. This content is for educational purposes only. It is not personal, financial, legal, or tax advice. Your circumstances are unique, including your income stability, risk tolerance, time horizon, and goals. Please consult a qualified fiduciary advisor or tax professional to tailor these concepts to your situation. With that in place, let's proceed. We start with the foundation, a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. This is a reserve of cash or cash equivalents that covers essential expenses such as housing, utilities, food, transportation, and insurance. Building this fund first reduces the risk that you will need to borrow at high rates or liquidate investments at a loss during a downturn. If your income is variable or your obligations are high, lean toward the 6-month end of the range. Keep these funds in a high-yield savings account or money market where they are accessible and preserve principal. Once this safety net is in place, you can make more confident decisions about debt and investing. Here is your hierarchy. First, ensure the emergency fund is in place. Second, contribute enough to your employer plan to receive the full match, since that is effectively an immediate, risk-free return subject to vesting rules. Third, if you hold any loans with interest rates exceeding roughly 5 to 6%, prioritize paying these down aggressively. Fourth, use a hybrid approach for lower-rate loans by making required minimum payments while channeling additional funds into diversified investments, especially in tax-advantaged accounts like Roth IRAs if eligible. Finally, once high-interest balances are eliminated and tax-advantaged opportunities are maximized, allocate more to broader investing and secondary savings goals such as a home down payment or travel. Let's compare the two mindsets. Paying debt first provides a guaranteed return equal to the interest rate on the loan. For example, a 6.28% tax-free return for a 6.28% APR loan. This reduces financial risk and mental load while improving cash flow as debts are retired. It is straightforward and predictable. On the other hand, investing first may produce higher long-term returns, but they are uncertain and come with volatility and sequence risk. Investing early does harness compounding and may offer liquidity if you use taxable accounts, but without guarantees. The framework we are using attempts to capture the best of both by prioritizing high-interest debt while still investing strategically, especially to capture employer matches and tax advantages. The 5 to 6% line is a practical heuristic. Paying down a 6.28% loan is like earning the same percentage as a guaranteed, tax-free return because you avoid paying the interest. Surpassing that hurdle consistently after tax and fees without taking substantial risk is challenging. Markets can deliver strong returns, but they fluctuate, and poor early sequences can harm outcomes, especially if you might need to sell during downturns. Meanwhile, eliminating debt improves your monthly cash flow, reducing financial fragility. However, amid all this, you should still capture the employer match because it represents immediate compensation you would otherwise leave on the table. Here is a simplified illustration. Assume you have $500 per month to allocate for 3 years. If you use it to pay down a 6.28% loan, you avoid interest and clear the balance sooner, resulting in over $10,000 of interest saved depending on starting principal. If you invest the same amount at an assumed average 7% annual return, Your portfolio could grow to around $19,000, although this is not guaranteed and depends on market performance. A hybrid approach, such as $300 to the loan and $200 to a Roth IRA, reduces the debt at a strong pace while still capturing compounding in a tax-advantaged account. Note that these are simplified estimates, not precise projections, and results depend on timing, fees, taxes, and market variability. Here is a practical implementation plan. First, calculate your essential monthly expenses and set a target of 3 to 6 months for your emergency fund. Second, contribute enough to your employer retirement plan to receive the full match, subject to vesting and eligibility. Third, list all debts with balances, interest rates, and minimum payments. Fourth, use the avalanche method by targeting extra payments toward the highest interest rate loan while paying minimums on the rest. Fifth, automate both the required and the extra payments to avoid slippage, directing the extra toward principal. Sixth, for loans under roughly 5%, consider paying minimums while contributing to a Roth IRA if you qualify, to benefit from long-term compounding and tax advantages. Seventh, keep secondary goals like aggressive travel budgets or accelerated down payments on hold until high-interest balances are eliminated, then phase them back in. Quiz time. What should come first for most people? Building an emergency fund or aggressively paying extra toward student loans? Option A. Aggressively paying extra toward loans. Option B. Building a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Option C. Investing in a taxable account. Option D. Skipping the 401k match until debt is gone. You may pause the video now to consider your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. Building a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. This buffer reduces the likelihood that you will take on new high-cost debt if you face an emergency, and it allows you to handle income disruptions with less stress. After the emergency fund is solid, the next priorities include capturing the employer match and then addressing high-interest loans. Second quiz. Which action is typically recommended before making extra payments to lower-interest student loans under 5% APR? Option A. Maxing a taxable brokerage account first. Option B. Capturing your full employer 401k match. Option C. Ignoring retirement until all loans are gone. Option D. Taking on new consumer debt for travel. You may pause the video now to think about your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. Capturing your full employer 401k match. Matching contributions are generally the easiest return you can receive, subject to vesting, and they accelerate your retirement savings. After securing the match, you can evaluate whether extra payments to low-rate loans or additional investing is more aligned with your goals, given your risk tolerance and timeline. This pie chart illustrates a sample allocation after you have built your emergency fund and captured your employer match. In this example, 40% of surplus cash goes toward extra payments on the highest interest debt. 30% flows to tax-advantaged retirement accounts, such as a Roth IRA if you are eligible, while 20% goes to a diversified taxable index fund portfolio, and 10% funds near-term cash goals. Adjust these percentages based on your risk tolerance, the level of your highest interest rates, and your timeline. As high-interest debt declines, it makes sense to shift more toward investing. This timeline shows progress in 3 phases. Phase 1, over approximately 0 to 6 months, focuses on building a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Phase 2, from roughly 6 to 18 months, emphasizes contributing enough to receive the full employer 401k match, while aggressively paying down any loans with rates above 5 to 6%. Phase 3, from 18 months onward, involves maintaining minimum payments on sub-5% loans, maximizing contributions to tax-advantaged accounts such as a Roth IRA if eligible, and then gradually expanding to broader investing and reintroducing secondary savings goals. Actual timing will vary based on your income, expenses, and starting debt levels. Steer clear of these pitfalls. Do not skip the emergency fund. It prevents you from taking on costly new debt during crises. Do not ignore the 401k match, as this is part of your compensation. Avoid treating all debts equally. Instead, target the highest interest rate loans first, to minimize total interest. Put secondary goals on hold, while carrying high interest balances to prioritize financial resilience. Resist the urge to chase speculative investments in hopes of outperforming a guaranteed return from paying down high interest loans. Finally, automate both payments and contributions to ensure consistency. Here are the main points. First, establish a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Second, always capture your employer match. Third, prioritize paying off loans with interest rates above 5 to 6%. Fourth, for lower rate loans, pay the minimums while investing. Fifth, maximize tax-advantaged accounts early when possible, especially Roth accounts if eligible. Sixth, defer major discretionary goals until high-interest debt is eliminated. To conclude, use the priority stack to minimize risk while building wealth. Emergency fund, employer match, high-interest debt payoff, and then broaden your investing. Automate your plan to reduce friction and review it quarterly to incorporate any changes in income, expenses, rates, and goals. Shift allocations as high-interest balances fall and as your risk tolerance and timeline evolve. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please like the video, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe for more practical financial guides. In the comments, tell us where you are in your journey and how you plan to balance debt payoff with investing. We look forward to your thoughts.